5:33, we call the meeting to order. Would you please stand and join Mr. Alderson in leading us in the pledge?
American pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Texas pledge. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible.
And now Cheyenne will lead us in a prayer.
Heavenly Father, I thank you so much for this day, and I thank you for this district. I thank you for these seniors that are about to graduate. We just ask that you would guide them and lead them as they walk out their destinies. And I just pray that you would give us wisdom as we navigate. We thank you for always providing for us. And just help us to make the right decisions for all these kids and help our focus to be in the right place. In Jesus' name, amen. Amen.
We'll start with a student spotlight. If I could have Brooke Burnquist, I think she was standing kind of in the back there. Brooke could come. Brooke's been doing all kinds of good stuff her senior year. She's completed her, went to barber school, got her certification.
I did that my junior year.
And she's a CNA and a CMA, right?
I did my test, but I didn't pass, but I'm going to try and do it again.
But she got third place at state in Skills USA. And so we're really proud of her. Yeah, you'll get that around. Brooke, plan on going to Temple College in the fall. Great. And you're already working some right now?
I'm working, as a receptionist at my mom's office.
Okay, very good. And she's been a PAL and a member of student council, and she's done all kinds of good stuff over the years. And so one of our very high-performing seniors, and to get those pieces of paper like that, that's awesome. We're really proud of you, and getting those state awards, it's a great deal, Brooke. Very proud of you. So we'll take your picture and put it in the newspaper. Ms. Show, you want to come up here too? Excellent. I like Liz to stand next to me, it's more awkward.
Got it.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Brooke. In our staff spotlight is Miss Judd. Is Carrie here today? Carrie?
No.
She's not here? Okay. So I'm going to honor Carrie by surprise here at the campus. But Carrie Judd is our elementary principal who's retiring. And Carrie's done an excellent job. She really has. I was going to surprise her tonight, but I will surprise her at work. And she's done a great job. She's been with us 5 years. She did a year as a second grade teacher, then she did 2 years as AP, and then 2 years as principal. And she's been a great friend to Miss Doss, and she's leaving it in very capable hands with Jennifer. And so we just want to thank her one more time before she heads off into the sunset. So
she'll be surprised.
she will be, yes. All right, Coach Phillips. He's got a bunch of athletes here to honor who've been doing well academically and athletically.
Good evening, school board. We have 23 seniors that have earned academic all-state honors this year through the Texas High School Coaches Association, Texas Girls Coaches Association, and also the Texas High School Women's Powerlifting. And again, probably not a good choice of words, but this is academics on steroids. that goes
Too
back,
soon,
but it's too soon. It's not just honor roll. It's a really big deal. It's based on grade point average and class rank, ACT and SAT test scores. So this is a really big honor for them and a great achievement. We're going to call out our young ladies first. If you would, come stand over here. Ms. Shope will have your record. Kinsley Erie. Maya Gomez. Cameron Mooney. Julia Petty. Emma Pollard, Taylor Sanderson, Baron Seagraves, Paisley Wells, and Kinsley Risk.
Will you come over here? Yeah.
Okay, and our young men, Caden Kaufman, Colin Coleman, Daniel De La Torre, Grayson Egling, Seth Finley. Gary Keaton is stomach flu, but his dad is going to step in.
I'm not gonna stand.
Caden Mays, Amos Phillips, Larry Schwartner, Miles Toll, Roman Wallace, Dylan Watts, Levi Webb, and Charlie Winkler. Congratulations, young men.
Squeeze together.
I can do it.
Thank you, guys.
Dr. Sanderson, can I push this?
Not his second,
Can I push this to you?
not just yet. To run over Miss Denny.
Yeah, you can. I wanted you to move her.
Seeing that there are no public comments on items not on the agenda, we'll go to the consent agenda. These are items that we normally routinely vote on, just to accept without a report unless a board member wants to pull one. Minutes of April 27th, financial statements as of April 30th, bills and payrolls, budget amendments, year-to-date budget amendments to fund balance, vital signs report, food service report. Any of you all want to pull any of those? Do I hear a motion that we accept them? Okay, Charles? Seconded by Cheyenne. All in favor? Now information items, property values.
Good evening, board. How are y'all? Every year in April, we get our proposed preliminary certified property value. So I usually just bring them to you as an information item so you can be aware. We won't get the certified ones until close to end of June, July time. But right now what they're expecting for us for Coryell County and Bell County is a lesser amount coming in. So our values for this year are about 1.1 billion for Coryell, and last year they were 1.3 billion for Coryell, and in Bell they're down also from 1.2 million down to 1.2 million now from 1.7 million. And so the reason for that is because the Homestead Act changed from 100,000 to 140, and then the other one was the senior and disabled exemption went up 60,000 to 200,000, and so we were expecting that they would go down because of those two things. And this is part of that finite pot where whatever we don't bring in locally, the state is supposed to match and fill the pot. So the less we bring in here, the more the state should pitch in. But right now it looks like they're going to be a little bit lower than what they were. Any questions on that? And I'll bring you the final certified ones when we do have them.
We hope the state keeps doing what they're supposed to do.
Correct.
Okay, teacher incentive allotment update.
Good evening. All right, so, sorry, I'm getting a little old and my contacts don't always work the way that they should. All right, so for some of you guys, you were not around whenever we first started talking about teacher incentive allotment. That was back in like the 23-24 school year. So I wanted to kind of give you guys an update on where we are as far as our campuses go. And so let me give you a little bit of background. The teacher incentive allotment was established by the Texas legislature in 2019 through House Bill 3. The program was designed to attract and retain top teachers by offering financial rewards based on teacher evaluations and student performance metrics. So currently, designations fall into 3 tiers: recognized, exemplary, and master, with each level tied to higher incentive funding. So teachers who scored at least 3.5 on their T-test out of 5 and had students show growth of over 55% over the course of the year, from beginning of the year to the end of the year, those were able to earn designations. And so we had a pilot group from our junior high and high school. And so we had, in the program, we had 7th grade reading, math, and science, and then we also had 8th grade math and science. And in high school, we had English 1, English 2, biology, algebra, and US history. And so with that information, based on that data from that cohort group, we were able to put our teachers up for designations. And so just a little note, a designation will last 5 years. So once they reach a status, then they are able to maintain the amounts that they are given. So out of the 23 teachers that we had in these groups, 15 of our 23 ended up with designations. So that is good information to know, because that is, again, more money for our teachers, and it would range from about $4,000 upwards of $16,000 per year. So it makes a lot of difference. The Texas state statute requires that 90% of the funds are distributed directly to the teachers, and that no more than 10% of the funds be spent on elements of supporting the teacher incentive allotment. So our initial plan was to have 80% go to the teacher, 10% go to the support staff who actually supported the teachers in the classroom, and then the remaining 10% went to supporting the elements like additional PD, professional development for our teachers. So this is our first year to actually know that we designated. And it's important because we understand we get what our numbers, not the actual money, but we get the numbers that we have for that in late April. With our first TIA payout coming up soon, we have some costs that we're not fully anticipating with the amount of taxes and fees that are associated with this extra money. So one of the things that is important to know is that kind of dips into that teacher amount. So currently our goal is to maximize the amount that the teachers are able to receive. So we're planning on updating that funding to be 90% going to the teachers, and then 10% going to support the taxes, the costs, the additional fees associated with that money that they're going to be receiving. So with their normal compensation. So in essence, what that amounts to is the money that we end up getting, pretty much the 100% actually does go to the teacher that way. So it's kind of a live and learn process, and we're able to change it year to year. And so Ms. Goodwin will be talking a little bit more about that. But just know that that money comes from the state through that foundation school program, which is the primary funding system for public education. So one thing that I want to make sure that you guys know, we are modifying our plan. We're adding more teachers into it for this next year. So really all campuses are going to be playing a part. We'll have kindergarten, 3rd grade math and reading, and 5th and 6th grade reading. And then at the high school, we'll add chemistry and physics. And then additionally, they're adding a new level that's called Acknowledged, and it's a little bit lower rung. But again, it means more money for more of our teachers. So that's kind of the update of what teacher incentive allotment can be. And again, we plan to grow the program as best we can.
I want to thank Bridget. This is extremely tedious work, and Bridget has to spend countless hours on updates from the state, and they're constantly changing things and updating things, but she does all that so the teachers can make extra money. And so 15 of them, you probably saw the picture on Facebook, 15 of them between junior high and high school got some extra money coming their way, so they were super proud, very tickled to get it.
And we are able to kind of look at preliminary numbers, and just based on like teacher scores already, those scores are looking really good. So we have a lot of potential for more teachers to reach a limit. And then if they hit a low level, over the course of those 5 years, if they hit an additional higher level, the 5 years starts over for them. So that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah. way to make more money.
Yeah.
Is this the program that if we hire a teacher that's already in that program,
It comes with
we
them.
continue it?
Uh,
Okay.
Any other questions?
Thanks, Bridget.
Okay, now we're going to action items, and Leanne will tell us how we're gonna fund this.
That's right. So fortunately, the state does fund it. Unfortunately, we have to pay it in this school year and we don't get refunded until September. So that's mainly what I'm here to talk to you about. But to piggyback off of what Bridget said, the state requires the district to pull 10% off from those teacher payouts. And what we can do different things with it. We could do training, we could do different things, but it costs about 12% for the employer for us to pay our side of the taxes. That's TRS, that's insurance, that's federal taxes. So we're going to use our 10% to maximize that so that the teachers don't have to pay our portion and their portion, so that they can get more money in their pocket. And so they will still have to pay their portion of those things, but the employer portion we will pay using that 10%. So that's what we're going to do with it, so we can give them as much as possible, because a lot comes out. But for us, those 15 teachers need to be paid by the end of June this year. And so that amount comes out to $146,451. And so that is the amount of money that we need to pay it in June, and then the state will reimburse us for that in September, the new fiscal year. So I am here to ask you to approve a one-time payout from the fund balance to cover that $146,000 until we recoup the money in September. Any questions?
Do I hear a motion? Linda, second by Charles. All in favor? Okay.
That's wonderful.
Uncle Sam really taxes it. Isn't it considered a gift?
It's considered a bonus, so they get charged 22% federal tax because it's a bonus.
Isn't that terrible?
So it's like 52% of the money goes to, yeah, it's pretty sad.
Uncle Sam.
So,
Impact service agreement.
okay, I'm gonna let them talk for you, but we're very excited to present this company to you because they are working on helping us with cost savings with our HVAC units.
Dr. Pollard, it's minimized and the clicker's right there beside you.
Oh, okay. You bet.
You can just stick it on a slideshow. So real quick, who we are. My name's Wes McDaniel. I'm actually the founder of Ideal Impact. And we started 17 years ago with the mission of creating $1 billion for Christian ministry originally. And so we put together a team that we kind of felt like that first year that God was calling us to cap salaries at $20,000 a year. And I said, okay, I'll do that, but that's going to mean I'm the only employee, and God sent people. We ended up with some of the top people in this industry globally that took 85 and 90% pay cuts just to put $1 billion back into Christian ministry. And so I've done youth prison ministry for many, many years too, over 30 years. And 2015, we said, if we could go in and do the same thing for schools that we're doing for ministries, schools in Texas need more money too. And so that's what we did. At this stage, we've done over 740 churches across the state, over 250 school districts, some colleges too. But the work we've done will put $2.3 billion back into those. And that's our whole reason for being, is to put money back. And it's been amazing. And so we do it through energy savings, and just some quick examples. I'm going to go pretty fast on these, but a couple of these districts on the left, Louise and Freer, had done multi-million-dollar projects before we were there to save energy. So they replaced chillers, boilers, air handling units, lights, controls, and they got them down to, at Louise, 44.8 thousand BTUs per square foot, which is total energy use, and Freer at 48, which a lot of companies would say is about as low as you can get a school district. Well, we came in and took them in the 20s. Calhoun County had their president of the school board had a PhD in environmental engineering, and we went there, they said, you won't find savings here. He said, we've done the most you can do, and anyway, we did. And then Kennedale up in Dallas-Fort Worth is really one of the best starting ones we've seen, and we still saved a significant amount there. So what we've done so far, we start out, we do free audits for any school districts or ministries in Texas. We've done that. We've been through all your bills, looked at all your buildings, all your controls, and everything. And so, and this is what your bills look like here. And of course, y'all have Texas and New Mexico Power, and they've got a rate structure. Everybody's got different ones, but the green up here is natural gas. The yellow is how much electricity you use. And you get to negotiate your electric rate for the KWH, but a big part of your bill is demand. And demand is based on the top 15 minutes of the month and the top 15 minutes of the year. And here the demand is 53% of your total bill, including gas. So based on those two 15-minute periods. Then if you look at demand by itself, this is what it looks like. The other thing that happened back in 2011, the state legislature passed a law that said if you're a nonprofit entity, which obviously you are, and you can keep your annual load factor below 0.25, then you pay less demand. An annual load factor, it's all your KWH on each meter for the whole calendar year, January 1st to December 31st, divided by 8,760 times your top 15 minutes. And right now, 46% of your electricity comes through meters with a higher load factor. Now what that means is you're paying about a 2,000 kW demand penalty each year because of that. And that's normal. It's you know, there's no way for people to actually control that by themselves. And so that's pretty normal. But every school district we've done, within a year, we get them off that penalty. And so that's just additional savings too. But pulling that demand down is a big deal. And of course here, most of your heat's gas heat, you're going to see that demand peak on the hottest day of the year when school's back in session, which is coming soon, of course. You know, and it's almost always early August. All the kids are back and, you know, it's hot. So getting ahead of that's a really big deal. So here's where y'all are right now. Y'all are doing really well on just total energy use. Y'all are sitting at 38.6, which is better than most schools we see, but our plan would be to take you to 27, which is substantial savings. And here's what the numbers look like. Right now you're spending about $566,000 a year on energy. And we always use two savings numbers, and we call it basic and committed. Basic's about a B- level achievement, $141,000 a year. Committed is like an A-. So the goal is beat committed, to save more than $164,000 a year. And then the 15-year number, it's going to be paid off well ahead of that. But the 15-year number, you know, is based on 7% inflation, which I really think electricity is going to go faster than that. And demand is the part we're seeing go up the worst. Demand is based on transmission and distribution across the state. And right now, ERCOT's highest 15 minutes ever was 85 billion watts. They have over 330 billion of requests to add load to that. So to go from 85 billion to over 400 billion. But the net is, we think we can put $3.3 million back in your school district instead of paying it to Texas, New Mexico and your gas company, which I'd way rather see you keep it to use for the kids than pay it to those. And when we started doing churches years ago, we said, you know, if we can do this in a way where the churches have no risk, that we fund it all up front, and between us and our bank, we fund it totally, so you don't have to come up with any money up front. A committed save, basically you pay 80% of your savings, whatever you save, until we're paid back. And a committed savings, $164,000 a year, that'd be $131,000 a year. The project itself is $776,000, but you're also keeping during this time the additional 20% of savings, and after that you keep all of the savings. Now there's so many areas of savings besides the energy side. One of them's on the maintenance side. We did a church in Fort Worth, just west of downtown Fort Worth, Cross Chapel Bible Church a few years ago, and as we went in there, they said one of our problems is we don't have enough tons of cooling. And we were presenting in May there, and I said, what do you mean? They said, even in April, we're having to subcool our first service to low 60s to be below 80 by the end of our third service. And they were about to spend $100,000. They were going to add a chiller and some air handling units. I said, you don't really need to do that. Your problem's humidity. You're spending about 80% of your air conditioning capacity on humidity, which is only leaving 20% for cooling. We're going to pull down humidity in the middle of the night where you don't have a demand component on the bill. So electricity is much cheaper. And so the humidity is only going to pull about 30% instead of 80% of your total capacity, which is going to leave 70% for cooling. We've more than triple your effective cooling capacity. And they said, we don't see how that'll work. I said, give me 6 weeks. And they said, we've already budgeted $100,000. They said, you're a Class A mechanical contractor. Why don't we pay you the $100,000 to do this work? I said, I don't want your $100,000. I want you to keep it. And every time I say that, people think I'm arguing the wrong side of the table. But if I can save them from spending $100,000 they don't need to spend, that's that much more money to ministry. It would never show up on our spreadsheet. And they said, I said, give me 6 weeks. Surely you can wait 6 weeks. You waited this long. They said, okay, 6 weeks. So we started late May. 6 weeks puts us in mid-July. You know how much hotter Fort Worth, Texas is in July than it was in April. And they could hold temperature through all 3 services. And we took KWH at the meter from 319,000 a year before in July to 167,000. And by August, we'd taken it to 102,000. And the electric company sent somebody out to check their meters because they're sure somebody monkeying with their meters. But that's what we do. Everything we can save y'all puts money back into schools. And then we saved them an extra $100,000 there. We did Stockdale ISD a few years ago down by San Antonio, and they've been told they need to spend $2 million to replace a bunch of air handling units. And I came in and said, you don't need to do that. We can make these work a lot better and they'll last a lot longer. And they said, we've had all the experts out. This was in 2017. Their superintendent recently went up to Borger, Texas, and he called us there immediately. He said, we need money in Borger too. Can you come here? And so we went up there. And when I was there at the board meeting, and he said, you remember those units you told us we didn't have to replace back in 2017? I said, yes. He said, most of those are still working just fine. And that's a lot of savings too on top of the energy side. But anyway, I think we can put $3.3 million back where it's all funded. You don't have to come up with any money. You have no risk because you're paying less than you save. What we're doing, the first thing was rhetorical. Obviously, we've done thousands of buildings across Texas. And our core fellows have done many thousands across the world. The biggest I ever did was Rockefeller Center, actually, which is all 9 city blocks here in New York in my previous organization. So we're going to start out with control-wise, is replacing your control systems. And we use a control system called Pelican. It's made in the United States, so you don't have supply chain issues. It comes with a 5-year parts warranty, and we leave you some spares, so if one goes out, you've got one you can change out immediately and get it back up and running. I had dinner with the head of the biggest controls company a while back, and he was trying to give me some advice, and he said, Wes, your problem is you don't understand the importance of service revenue. He said they make over half their profits on service. Well, our goal is giving back. We have over 140 million square feet across Texas. Our annual service call revenue is about $14,000, less than $14 a client, because every dollar we save you there goes back to the kids. We do a lot to reduce humidity. I've seen so many districts that have struggled with humidity problems, which create comfort problems, and some of them struggle with mold and mildew and stuff. I never name anybody that's got mold or mildew problems because it's sensitive. But we've solved that many places. We do a lot of just monitoring, analyzing results. I've never seen a district yet that doesn't have comfort problems somewhere that they say they've never been able to fix, and we've been able to fix a lot of those within the project. But we're also looking at every room. How fast does this room cool down if it's 80 outside, or 85 or 90 or 95 or 100? How fast does it warm up if it's 60 or 50 or 40 or 30 or 20? And of course, every room's different. A room facing east, totally different one facing west. The classroom's different than a gym or a meeting room. And then we go through with our team, and we go through all 373 pieces of HVAC equipment. This is all with our own forces, but they're going through to optimize those, which this part's a big deal too. It extends the life of the equipment. It makes it work much better. It's a critical part. We talked about controls. Zoning, haven't seen a district yet that doesn't have zoning problems somewhere. We fixed many of those. We got a full weatherization team that just specializes on that goes through all the schools. Because if you reduce leakage in the buildings, if you got air leaking in, that's bringing in hot and cold and humidity and pollens and everything else. And then Campus Optimizer, we've invented over 380 new technologies. But Campus Optimizer is one of them that's patented. And look at it right now, you're trying to keep it comfortable. You have 373 pieces of equipment, over 400 rooms. We didn't count the rooms, that's an estimate. And you got more events than rooms, because events a teacher in classroom or game or practice or whatever. And you're trying to keep everything comfortable. And ideally, you're also trying to pull down the amount of electricity used. And you're trying to manage that optimal load factor equation, which by this stage, even if you've got a math genius doing it, there's just too many variables. And then the amount of natural gas you use, and the top 15 minutes of demand a month, and the top 15 minutes of demand a year. I haven't seen a district yet that has too many maintenance people. Everybody's trying to get by with as little as they can, but if we can free up some of their time, it makes a big difference. And then improving relative humidity and indoor air quality. And to do it well, you need to know how fast every room in the district cools up, cools down or heats up. And then I've lived in Texas all my life. The weather's nuts. And we can easily see a 20-degree morning, 80 degrees the next afternoon. And every time that happens, ideally you're adjusting it. You've got 12 meters, multiple rate schedules, but that's what Campus Optimizer does. Every night it pulls into your latest schedule of all your events. And you can do the same thing with 3 mouse clicks if there's a change during the day. Then it brings in the next 7-day weather forecast, all the highs and lows. Then it runs a 20-level mathematical matrix for every high and every low, every room, every air handling unit, every building, every meter, and all of those variables up there, and sends those changes out in the controls. We're watching Capel ISD in July. And so summer school was over, football and band hadn't started, so schools were mostly empty. And the system made over 1,300 changes in 3 minutes just to optimize mostly empty buildings for humidity and mold control. And then we document everything. You know, I haven't seen a district yet that's got everything documented. Most people have somebody, will call him Fred, and they say, well, Fred knows where everything is, but if he's not here, they don't. And we start training with the first project meeting. We train key people first. One thing we love to do is just go to an in-service meeting and talk about homes. We don't do homes. But my home's 2,500 square feet. I live in Grapevine, Texas. And my electric bill 7 months a year is $70-something or less. And a lot of people are paying more than $70 a month for electricity. And my wife's retired. She's home all the time. She keeps it 72. We cool it down a little at night. My grandkids are over there all the time. And so we love to just do a free gift back to the community. Like I said, some people do a community night and say, here's things you can do in your home to reduce your energy use a lot. Anyway, and then we got coaching going throughout. And the contract's real simple. We cover all the costs with us and our banks. So you don't have any risk. You don't have to come with anything out of pocket. Each month you send us your bills and we adjust for weather and if the electric company read a little bit different date, but you can do that as easy as we can. We don't pick temperatures. I get all kinds of people ask me, well, what temperature do you make a set it at? And I say, well, we don't pick temperatures. The superintendent from Stockdale, when I was at the board meeting in Borger, he said, you know, after you were there, we decided we were so efficient. We liked it a little cooler than most people, so we set cooling at 69 degrees, and we still saved over 40%. You know, so it's not about being uncomfortable. And then we always calculate your savings and your actual rates, and you pay, the first payment's about 6.5 months after the contract's signed, and it's based on 80% of the savings to date. And then it continues there. We also go get the rebates out there to help pay for this too. It looks like we'll be able to get about a $200,000 rebate to fund a big portion of this. So that's a big deal also, you know, let the electric company help pay for it. And we also help you if other rebates come up that make sense during the years we're involved. We had one client that had to replace a chiller that was going out, and we said, we're pretty sure we can get you a rebate on that. We were able to get them $250,000 from the electric company to help pay for that new chiller that they didn't know they were getting. Anyway, almost done. Finish up when I started this, I was vice chairman of deacons at Church of the Cross in Grapevine, and my pastor said, "Can you do our church?" And I said, "Sure." And he said, "Well, I didn't know if you do anything this little." He said, "I know your background and the buildings you've done across the world." And I said, "Our goal is giving back." He said, "There's probably no savings. And we built our whole campus 9 years ago. It's built to be energy efficient, great director operations." And so when we said 25% basic savings, he felt that was optimistic, and 34% he thought was a dream. And he said, "How long do you think it'd take to get there?" That's about $2,000 a month for basic savings. We just started. We were 4 people. We're 160 something now, but we were 4 back then. I said, "Give us about 5 months." He said, "What about committed?" I said, "Give us a little longer." But you can see here by month 5, we'd saved over $2,000 that month. By month 6, we're over 50% savings. I had lunch with our director of finance not too long ago, and he said, "You're actually saving us over 60% a year because of what y'all did." And that's a lot of money for our church. And their compressor failures went down. Most compressors tend to fail in August and September for schools as you start up and it's hot. And if we reduce that, that's a big deal. FUMC Richardson was built to be the most efficient building you could build. In fact, I was at the trustee meeting there, and one of the trustees said, "Look, I build big buildings in Dallas." He said, "You can't save 40-something% here." He said, "People tour us to see how energy efficient we are." But then he turned to the other board member and said, "It can't lose." And anyway, we saved 40-something%. And both the electric and the gas company sent people out to check those meters. And Sweeney had just done a multi-million-dollar project a few years before, and they thought 21% was impossible, and we're up in the 30s by month 6 and 7. In Stockdale, I talked about already, but we got up in the 40s. And Franklin did talk to one district not long ago that's in their football district, and they said, "We don't need to save money for Franklin," but we saved them over 50-something%, which is a lot of money. Anyway, back to your numbers. The goal here is to put, $3.3 million in energy savings back in your district, but do a lot more so you can use it for the kids. So what kind of questions do you have?
Well, you answered mine, and the main concern I had was that it would be set on some temperature that would be uncomfortable, and it would create bad rapport with the staff.
Oh, definitely, yeah. Yeah, I think you ought to be comfortable. That's my opinion.
So they can still crank it down.
Yep. Whatever y'all think is right. Y'all pick temperatures, I don't.
So will every room still have a thermostat?
Yeah, so what we're going to do, we'll put those Pelican controllers everywhere there is control now. It comes with an LCD readout, so you can actually see what temperature it is and what temperature it's set on. And then the teachers can move it up and down within whatever range you allow them to do it. And if they come in after hours, they can make it comfortable too, because my opinion is if a teacher's there, the room ought to be comfortable, so. And then, like I said, they come with a 5-year parts warranty. We leave you some spares, because if one goes out, I'd way rather be able to change it out in 15 minutes and have it up and running than wait for a day or two for somebody to come here. What other kind of thoughts or questions?
You want us to approve this tonight, or do you want to think about it a month?
I feel good about it.
They have met with technology. Technology is happy with what they see. They have met multiple times with Toby. They've been out here on all the campuses and gone through everything with Toby and his team. And so Toby thinks it's a really good endeavor also.
We're going to set the thermostat at 87.
It felt like that at junior.
Not gonna have any employees.
So junior high probably.
It was, yeah.
Yeah, you get the humidity down, it makes it way more comfortable. And our goal here would be get it in before the summer's over, so when you hit that startup, you've already got it all in and help those compressors last longer.
And you're not changing any of the systems?
The HVAC systems, no, right? We'll optimize those. You'll have a lot of them with just miscellaneous issues and problems that we'll solve, but we're not actually changing the unit out itself. But we lengthen the life greatly just from managing it the way we are, because it's way easier to cool drier air than wet air.
Well, I'll make the recommendation that the board approve GISD to enter into a service agreement with Ideal Impact for cost-saving initiatives for HVAC controls.
Is there any further discussion? Should I hear a motion? Calvin, a second by Charles. All in favor? Okay, we're gonna work with you.
Thank you.
Now there's part two.
Yes.
Okay. Leanne, is that you or me or?
You can
No,
read
you
it.
go ahead.
It's all the same thing. It's just the plan now.
Oh, okay. So the second part of it is JISD recommends the board approve the district to enter into a lease agreement purchase with Ideal Impact for the cost saving initiative.
Yeah, it's actually a PPA, a purchasing plan agreement.
Purchasing plan agreement.
That's the 80/20 program instead of paying cash.
Do I hear a motion? Calvin, a second. Lloyd, question? All in favor? Okay.
Thank y'all very much.
Yeah. Thank y'all so
We
much.
look forward to the money.
Yeah.
Yes, I know. We enjoy that so much. We hear so many school districts, and they say, we were able to do this because of this, or we got buildings that were sick buildings that got taken care of. And, you know, 250 of them in Texas, you can imagine, that's a lot of districts.
I do have one question.
Sure.
With the 80/20 payout, is there a time limit on that, or is it just until you're paid off?
It's
If
just until you're paid off.
5 years or 8 or whatever?
Yeah, so you look at right now, with 131,000 a year, like I said, that the rebate would cut that down quite a bit. So that's gonna pull it down to about 570, 580,000. And so you'd kind of estimate it's a little over 4 years.
That's it. But if it takes longer, that's okay, because it's still paid with profits, what we would say.
Right, yeah.
Okay.
And almost everybody pays it off sooner than anticipated.
I understand.
So the fastest so far did it in 2 years, 4 months. But that was pretty amazing. And we love it when that happens, because that just means more for your kids. Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, a date for the proposed board budget and tax rate workshop.
All right, it's that time of year again. We're getting ready to look at next year. And so we're working on all the budget and tax proposals and workshops and, you know, all that stuff where we have to meet several times in August so that we can get it all done, because the state requires those deadlines and those date windows. So the first one that we're going to talk about is the date for proposed board budget and tax rate workshop. So this will happen earlier in the month of August, on August 4th. And the reason that we picked this time is because we have to be so many days before the answer, and so many days before August 20th, and so many days before we vote on it, and before August 31st. So when you look at the calendar and you work that out, it comes out to August 4th. And so the purpose of it is to act upon the recommendations that we decide on, and based on board approval of the budget and tax rate, we'll publish a notice on Saturday, August 15th, which is why we have to back up 10 days before that. And so the district recommends setting the date for our annual board proposal and tax rate workshop for Tuesday, August 4th, so that we are 2 weeks prior to the board's regular meeting on August 17th, so we can make the final decision, and we can also get it in the newspaper in the required time.
Do I hear a motion that we accept August 4th? Okay, Linda, seconded by Cheyenne. Any further discussion? All in favor? That's that month where we meet and meet and meet.
It's Calvin's favorite month.
Exactly.
And that goes hand in hand with the public meeting. We have to have the workshop, we have to have the newspaper, we have to have the decision, we have to have the vote, but we also have to have a public meeting. And so by setting the date for the public meeting for Tuesday, August 25th, we meet the 10-day minimum notification period, as the district plans to publish the required notification on Saturday, August 15th in the Gatesville Messenger. This date also meets the August 31st deadline for adoption for the next year's budget. So we'll have the workshop, we'll present it to you at the regular board meeting, and we will vote on it on August 25th.
Do I hear a motion that we accept August 25th? Calvin, seconded by Linda. All in favor? Passes.
All right, those dates are on the calendar. Thank you.
Proposal for food service management company.
Our food service management company that we currently use is Southwest Foods, and we call them SFE. We've been on a 5-year contract with them, and each year we were allowed to renew with them up to 5 years. So that ended with this school year. And so we put out a request for proposal for new ones back in January. And if y'all remember, 2 months ago I came to y'all and said that we had to have Texas Department of Agriculture's approval, and that we hadn't heard from them yet. And so we've been waiting, and they have sent stuff back, and they required us to do some changes. Thank you. And we finally got approval from the Texas Department of Agriculture. And so we are proposing to you that we are recommending, based on our rubric process and the things that we had to, the requirements we had to make for TDA, the Department of Agriculture. So we are presenting to you tonight Southwest Food Services again as our winning bidder. They had the lowest monetary bid, and if you look at the total cost down there on your BAI, I have the incorrect number. That is a typo. It is actually $1,076,864, but it is still the lowest bid that we got of the 5 bidders that we got. And so looking at the rubric with the money and with all the other things, they won by a slight margin over the other companies. So we are recommending tonight that the board approve Southwest Food Service as our winning bidder for the food management company for the 26-27 school year. And it'll be for 1 year with the option to extend up to 5 years.
Principals, are y'all happy with the food service that we have? Kids like it, they're not throwing it all away?
No.
Do I hear a motion to accept this proposal? Charles, second. Cheyenne, all in favor? Okay. Projectors at elementary.
Okay, back in the fall, I came to y'all, remember our TRE money we've had that we've been banking for the last 2 years since the golden pennies were passed? And we had $115,000 earmarked for Chromebooks. And I came and I talked to y'all about how we had that money there, but we thought that the flat panels at the elementary were a higher priority because we do not have to change out any Chromebooks for the next 2 years. And so y'all voted that we could change that money project from the Chromebooks over to the flat panels. And so today I'm presenting we had got 2 bids. We put it out for bid, and we got 2 bids. The lower bid came from Synergy Technology. They're the ones that did our flat panels for intermediate last year. And so Shelley Harper said that they were great and everything worked well. So we are bringing to this next set for elementary for our flat panels to install this summer. Maintenance department's gonna help us install them, but we are recommending that you accept the quote from Synergy Technology for $75,000.
Any further questions? Do I hear a motion? Okay, Calvin, a second. Okay, Linda, all in favor? Got it. Wings.
Well, the Wings program is still going strong, and we wanted to get their start and end times down. I talked with Laura Lamb, and we need to make sure there's 240 minutes of instruction for full day funding, and so we would recommend that the morning session next year would be from 8 till noon to get the 4 hours, and then the afternoon session would be 11:30 to 3:30. And of course, a lot of our students do the full day, but these times were approved by Laura and Pam, who runs the program, and should work out well. So I would recommend the board approve the Wings program start and end times for the morning, 8 to noon, and afternoon, 11:30 to 3:30 as presented.
Are you doing a graduation service for them
Yeah.
this year?
They're participating in the May.
The round, okay.
About how many is gonna, may I ask about how many is gonna graduate this
We have
year?
one who finished in the fall who's participating.
You said 9?
One.
No, one
Oh.
who finished in the fall is participating. I think that's the only one that was officially Wings.
We've had 6 graduates this year.
Oh, I thought you were just this year.
Speaking of graduation, Liz is going to have us seated a little bit differently Friday night. Where is the board seated at?
So this is the stage and we're facing out to the students. You guys will be just there at the ramp with the other campus administrators.
So they'll kind of show us where to sit then.
Yeah, Mackenzie has like a
We get
map
demoted?
layout of it.
They said we're too crumpled up in there where they're taking the pictures, so they're trying to spread us out, so.
It's gotten very crowded, so if you look at a lot of the photos or even like the live stream, there's a lot going on behind the students as they're being awarded their diplomas. It might be like someone bending over or someone making a weird face, so we thought if we kind of shifted things around, that would allow for more open space behind them, so the focus is on them, often their parents, you know, or you guys if you're awarding them a diploma instead.
Okay, do I have a motion to accept the WINGS program start and end times? Charles? Do I hear a second? Okay, Lloyd? All in favor? All right. Library purchases.
I thought we might have a list this month, but we won't. We'll have some in June, and so we don't have to approve it. We'll just table this. Do we need to vote on tabling it? Or
I
not?
think so.
Okay, I recommend tabling it. We don't have any list for y'all this.
Do I have a motion to table? Cheyenne? Linda seconds. All in favor? Okay, it's 6:24. We're going to executive session.